First of all, who am I? I am a musician whose band entered the 2019 Bucharest International Jazz Competition. This video isn't some random ranting. It is showing the serious flaws of the event and is going to stay online until future musicians can testify that the situation evolved. So, what is this event about? Let's go on their website to find out that during this competition, Bucharest becomes the world capital of jazz. Yeah, right. With no serious Romanian jazzman implied, with no serious jazz club in town. Look at the concert schedule for the clubs in town for June. Let's continue and discover that the competition is the second jazz contest in Europe and the third in the world. We also discover that it's very convenient not to quote the sources. This video is going to be split into two parts, the downright unacceptable and things I personally found not acceptable but that others might accept. Let's start with the former. First of all, we are talking about the jazz competition, so you'd be expecting people who have serious knowledge of that music to be in charge. Wrong. The director was a classical musician and doesn't even seem to be playing anymore if he ever played professionally, as his resume seems to show. And a lot of you who got in contact with both jazz and classical environments know that they're not the same. Likewise, two members of the jury seem to have never played jazz in their lives. It is something to talk about music, but how are you going to judge harmonies, solos, structures if you're not used to playing some? How can you judge the quality of the musicians, distinguish the show-offs from the amazing improvisers? You can't have the same understanding, and this, given the level of the band, is a disgrace. So, let's rewind a little bit. You have been selected for the competition and are now preparing your trip to Bucharest. You are told you can stay with the hotel chosen by the organization, given you can afford the €50 per double bed room per night. It is normal to want to compare hotel prices, so you ask about the location so you can do your own research. Well, would you believe it? 2 months before the event, they don't know where it's going to be held. They even don't tell you until the last minute. They just tell you it's in the center. Fine. I personally booked an Airbnb close to the center for €15 per night. Some of the upright bass players wanted to have information about renting an instrument. Other musicians wanted to know where they could practice, but no help is to be given. Back to the hotel matter. It turned out most of the competition took place at the Ibis Hotel at Gara de Nord, where it was already held the previous years. Not really in the center. So, you're staying at the hotel. The director tells you how lucky you are because without his help, you would have paid €59 instead of the 50. Too bad, sir. You just need to look at the front of the hotel or on their website to see that you can have cheaper price. And if you decide to book yourself on the hotel website, you can find prices going as low as half the price told by the director. I thought the so-called arrangement was supposed to assist the musicians, not to rob them, and this is just the beginning. So you are roughly wasting €20 a day to the competition. For around 9 nights, that's €180 that you could have saved. Given you already paid the €120 fee for the competition and a flight to Bucharest, this seriously starts to add up. But wait! Maybe you want to bring a friend along, a spouse, your children? Well, if they want to attend the concerts, they will have to get a €20 pass for the week. That's not even granting an access to the final gala. Talking about the gala, why should the musicians who haven't made it to the final pay to attend that evening? They were part of the competition. The festival wouldn't exist without all the musicians who came, and it really shows disrespect to ask for €9 to come and support people who have become friends during the semi-final stage. It is a jazz competition, so you'd expect some kind of excitement, listeners and jazz lovers showing up. You playing in front of tens of people, right? Nah, the hotel venue is full the first evening, but is almost empty the rest of the time. As for the Dallas Hall, testimonies show that it was a bit more crowded, but nothing close to filling that small venue. In these figures, I'm not counting the heartwarming support and curiosity of fellow candidates. Bucharest, world capital of jazz, sure. The jury was only present at the Dallas Hall. whereas we were supposed to be judged on all the performances, and also during the jam sessions. This was contrary to the rules they made us sign. Talking about jam sessions, they started at 10 p.m. to end at 11 p.m. For World Capital of Jazz, that is quite the joke, isn't it? Every jazz musician knows that a good jam session should at the very least last double that time. The director's excuse was the fact it was organized in the hotel venue. I want to say, find another venue then. Somewhere musicians can play at a normal volume until past midnight. A partnership with the bar in town, maybe? You are expected to fly in with your double bass and your drums. You're even going to be overlooked and tagged as lazy if you don't. And no advice is going to be given to you about renting instruments or finding places to practice. Double bassists this year were encouraged to perform on an electric double bass made available by one of the contestants. The director stating that it is absolutely the same as a normal double bass, his demonstration being that as a wind instrumentist, he could learn and master another wind instrument in half an hour. I mentioned the obligation we had to sign the rules of the competition. Little did we expect these rules to change depending on the director's mood or choices. They clearly stated that each band would have 40 to 50 minutes at the Dallas Hall for the performance. The first bands did get this length. But then it was decided that solos and duos would only get 20 minutes, trios 30 minutes, and 35 minutes for quartets and larger. We had to play a piece chosen by the jury, so you can even remove 5 minutes and the rest is for your own pieces. If you sum up the time you play during the competition if you're part of a duo, that's about an hour, plus one song every now and then during the jam. And do I need to remind you, you're not given any place to play or practice? So that's about all the music you're going to play during your week in Bucharest. This year, there was a solo pianist from the United States. The director had the delicacy of telling him that his sound wasn't big enough, and thus implied his presence was somehow optional. But the man flew across the planet to be there, and had supposedly been chosen to be a serious contestant, as the stage was supposed to be a semi-final. The only conclusion I can draw from this, not wanting solos and duos to perform as much as the others, is that you should go there, if really you should go at all, with a drummer. Past year's winners are at least trios, and some exceptions during the final stage usually are vocalist related. Because yes, you have more chance to go to the final if you have vocalists in your band, given that there are way less bands with singers, and because there must be at least 2 bands competing for the best vocalist prize. Now for the things that are going to appear more like details to some. The competition gathers bands from all over the world, so the work language is English. Why wouldn't you choose a director who actually has a good level in that language? The guy held a meeting to talk about gear, and couldn't be understood when talking about cymbals, being stubborn with the Romanian word for it. According to the rules, you are forbidden to play somewhere else during the competition. I more or less understand that you're not allowed to play music from your band outside of the competition, but no jamming? For jazz musicians? Is that another bad joke? Whatever the venue you're playing in, the stage is set for the week. Not daily like in any other venue on the planet for a music contest. For the whole week. If you don't have a pianist in your band, you're just going to play on one half of the stage. If you don't have a drummer, it's going to be the other half. You want to find a better setting so you can see your fellow musicians better? Not possible. You want to turn the monitors so you can hear yourself and others better? Not possible. By the way, the sound engineer at the hotel venue admitted himself he didn't know that much about what he was paid to do. That led to a terrible sound, the kind of sound that doesn't put you in a comfortable spot. I have to mention there was an upright piano at the hotel, but never got used during the competition. Laziness was everywhere in the planning of the event. The playlist for the whole competition and both venue was the same, and was actually 1 song long. You heard right. You are at a music competition, and the playlist has 1 song only. I could have advised them with tens of great tunes. Anyone who loves jazz could have, but I guess they never bothered. The semi-final was to be performed both in the conventional and non-conventional venues. The conventional venue was a concert hall, fine. But the non-conventional venue was a hotel lobby. To me, it actually is kind of conventional. Who has never seen musicians playing in a hotel lobby? Non-conventional venues, to me, could look more like a train or underground station, a park, or even at the back of a truck going around in town. I may sound bitter saying this, but the order in which the bands were performing seems a bit odd when looking at those who went through the final. The winner and the special prizes played on the same day at both the hotel and music hall, whereas all the other bands were scrambled. They also were the only bands featured on the event's Facebook page. Don't get me wrong, the projects selected for the final were great, with amazing musicians. They deserved that achievement and you should definitely check them out. It just kind of felt things were already decided even before performing. There also was a daily masterclass on how to improvise, held by a singer. I don't really see who would be interested in these workshops. Not the people in the semi-final, as she'd be the one who'd need lessons from any of the musicians I saw competing this week, judging from the little I saw from her. Maybe complete beginners, but they weren't even there at the concerts. The media coverage is non-existent during the semi-final. Not a journalist, not an article during the event. And the articles mentioned on the official websites are all 6 or 7 years old. And in these articles, not a word about some bands. It's very vague and just kind of, yeah, we're doing something cool. With 2 illustration options, either the competition's poster or the director's photo. Someone is trying to appear as much as possible in the media. The whole team is a model of rudeness. Hello, please, thank you, bye, isn't part of their vocabulary, and they just basically give you orders on where you have to be and what you have to do. No smile, no right to say anything, or you are being told off. The director only gestured at the stage when it was my turn to play. This wasn't my first stay in Romania, but really, people are incredibly rude in Bucharest. Or I have too good manners, who knows. The jury members may decide to discuss with the participants about the performance, except when they don't. But that goes back to the fact that half of them wouldn't be able to go into details, and thus give good advice to the musicians. That's it. I've covered everything I could think of, at least the most important. The script of this video is going to be sent to the Ministry of Education, as it is one of the co-organizers and is probably a big fund giver. I don't expect the situation to change drastically, given the probable lack of money. But the mentality has to. That's it. Don't hesitate to leave your impressions, experience, or questions in the comment section.